Okay, people. So today, well, it was a two-dayer. It was a two-day. Yeah, I think that's an issue. Watching films and working. Ah, it was a two-filmer today, right? So second film on the docket was Bergman's Island. Yes, it was intriguing. So I just got a glimpse of this the other day. I forget how, but I got a glimpse and I was like, huh, you know what? I don't know. There seemed to be this charm to it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to check it out. Right. So it is written and directed by Mia Hansen-Løve. Um, it is produced by Charles Gilbert, Eric Hemadoff, Rodrigo Teixeira, and Lisa Whedon. Cinematography is Denis Lemieux. It's edited by Marion Monel. Um, and the cast was good, man. So we have our leading protagonist, Chris, who's played by Vicky Cripps, and her husband Tony is played by Tim Roth. Okay, so we then have Amy, who's played by Mia Wakowska, and Joseph, who's played by Anders Danielson Lee. We've got Hampus, who's played by Hampus Norderson. Have Az, who's played by Arik Larsson. We got Hedda, who's played by Kristen Brunberg. Barrett, who's played by Melinda Kinnaman. Stig, who's played by Stig Bjorkman. Jonas, who's played by Joe Spira. His wife, soon to be wife, anyway. Well, no, they do become wife. Who's played by Nicolette, who's played by Clara Strauch, and the Super 8 man, who's played by Matthew Lesnar. So the projectionist, essentially. Okay. Right. So the gist of this one, people. We follow a couple of American filmmakers, Chris and Tony, who retreat to the mythical Faroe Island for the summer. Right, in this wild, breathtaking landscape where Bergman lived and shot his most celebrated pieces, they hope to find inspiration for their upcoming films. As days spent separately pass by, the fascination for the island operates on Chris and souvenirs. It operates on Chris and souvenirs of her first love resurface. Lines between reality and fiction will then progressively blur and tear our couple even more apart. Which I don't know if that's necessarily true. You know what I mean? Um, but we do see some interesting things here. So one thing I really liked, right? So the opening credits of the film, they appear on the screen like they're being typed, right? And it's a film about two filmmakers, two writers. And so yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch that the credits appeared, like they're being typed. So that was nice. So we open up, they're on a plane. Chris is very anxious about flying, and then they're on a boat, and then they're driving. Right. And it's interesting seeing the dynamic between the two, right? It's not that relationship where, when she's worried, he's like, hey, don't worry, you'll be fine. He'll be like, hey, huh, don't worry, you're not gonna die. Or planes just hardly ever crash. It's like it's not saying the just the plat, hey baby, it's cool, don't worry, I'm here for you. It's more of a realistic kind of reaction if you're not worried that your partner's gonna fly off the hook or go crazy or anything like that. There seemed an honesty in a lot of the things that was said between the two. But then you have these other moments, right, where Chris realizes she forgot her sunglasses, and Tony gives her his. Yes, that's the right way of saying it. So we're seeing this relationship, and so they've gone to this place to, Tony's showing his film, and he's got some talks scheduled, but it's also to write, right? To kind of finish off projects, have inspiration, just all of this kind of thing. And it's interesting because Chris straight away they get there and it's just picturesque. There's a windmill, there's several houses, there's a cinema, a mini little screening room that he had there. Right. So there's all of this stuff. And she's just like, I don't know if I can write here. Right? This is too perfect. It's too, nice. I think that I'm gonna struggle to find inspiration because all I'm thinking about is how Bergman created some of his great work here, and that's daunting, essentially. Right? And he's just like, hey, nah, it'll be fine. Just you can write. Right? And it's funny again, right? When she's struggling, he's not like, "Oh, you're great, you're pretty." He's just like, I mean, you'll figure it out." She's like, "Oh, you should tell me more." He's just like, "Listen, you're not a kid. You've written a lot, so you know how you do. You know you can do it, and I love your stuff, right? So I love your stuff. So hey." And she's just like, "But I need help." He's just like, "Listen, just do something else." You know, right? It's more of that kind of tough love approach, but not necessarily being a complete dick. You know what I mean? But yeah, as I said, there's this honesty between the two, which is very refreshing. And it's very nice, right? You're seeing these two just interact, and it's nice, right? He wants to go on a Bergman safari. She's not really interested, so she goes and does her own thing, right? And it's like interesting to see these two experiences side by side, right? What they take away from them, which does kind of bite her in the ass later on in the film, right? Nothing too crazy, but it's a kind of amusing something that happens later on. He's just like, Bergman Safari, and she's like, oh. But yeah, so we're seeing all of this. These simple. It's funny because it's not a fast paced film, right? And you might think, not much is happening, but it's just this slice of life that's very compelling. There's a charm to it all, right? It kind of sucks you in without you realizing it, which is nice. Um, the scores in like it. I was going to say it's hit and miss, but it's not necessarily hit and miss because for the most part, I enjoyed it. But there's one piece of music at one point, I forget the actual scene, but I just like, oh, that doesn't really work for me. But everything else really liked. And there's this through piece of music that we hear oftentimes throughout the film. It was very string heavy, but it builds in this really nice way. And then the transitions and everything, it's a really nice piece of, right? It plays at one point where she's riding a bike, and yeah, just really like that piece. So yes, I wouldn't say the music was hit and miss. Just one piece that I didn't like, but the rest of it works. It works. I enjoyed it. Right. And so we have all of this, right? But as the film goes on, she finally finds some inspiration, right? And she finds it partly due to her not going on the safari, right? So she does her thing, and yeah, I think that she got some inspiration from that. Oh, I will say, right, some of the odd little things that we do see though, right, when she meets this film student, and he's like, "Oh, so yeah, I really enjoyed your films. Who are you here with?" She's like, "I'm here with my friend," and it's just like, "Hmm, that's interesting, right? Here with your friend." Now, there's nothing untoward happening, but it was very interesting in how she introduced. But then throughout the rest of the film, we do see them together and enjoying each other's company, right? So it this couple feels like a pair of well-worn gloves. You know, comfortable. There's no frills. You know what I mean? No pizzazz, but they're very comfortable in each other's space. You know what I mean? But yeah, what was very interesting though, we see as she gets this inspiration, we now have a film within a film, right? Because she's telling Tony about it, and then we start to see it, and it plays out. That's the Amy and the Joseph characters. So we see this interaction, and it's interesting the way they talk about the relationship. They talk about love, right? Because on one hand, as I said, look, we have Tony and Chris, like our well-worn clubs. That's one relationship. And now we're seeing this different type of relationship. And it's very interesting, right? And even with the confines of this different relationship, just some of the things that are said, right? Because they're talking about infidelity. Joseph's like, I've done this before. Yeah, I've done this several times, right? But then later on, it's just like, oh, I feel guilty. Oh, you cope with this better than me, but I feel bad about it. And it's sort of like, do you know? Do you know? But you admit to having multiple affairs earlier. So what's the deal, son? But yeah, well, it's yeah, as I said, it's interesting. Like, and then other interactions, like going to this wedding when she's pondering about the dress she's wearing, and you're just like, "Yo, are you insane? Like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? You don't need to ask that question." And I think one of the things she says, right, is she's talking to the bride about the dress, and the bride's like, yeah, she's like, "Oh, will it be okay to wear this dress?" And she's like, "Oh, it's white, but it's not white. It's not white." And what did she say? She said something along the lines of, um, "Well, I think to the unnuanced eye, you may perceive it as being white." So it's just like you just called the bride a dum dum. Yeah, there's a lot of these amusing little quips and exchanges, which yeah, just really bring the charm out of this film. So I really did enjoy it. Other like talking about Bergman, and we find out about Bergman's past, and it's this critique on how much do you really want to know about someone you look up to, admire, respect their work. And then once you know things that maybe not be your cup of tea, does that alter your perception of the artist? Right. So there's these interesting points that come up in this film that really do speak to human nature, right? And I think that's one of the strengths of this. That's part of the charm of the piece, because yeah, you have all of this stuff, and it's just like, well, that's so true. That's nice. Yeah, we get to see these situations. So yeah, I really did enjoy Bergman Island, people. I would definitely recommend you checking it out. And right, so you may have missed today's showing, which was at the Curzon Mayfair, which is a very nice cinema. But it is showing tomorrow, Friday the 8th, at 11:15 a.m. That one will be at the BFI South Bank NFT1. Looks like there are still tickets available, people. And then it is showing the last Saturday, the 16th of October, again at the BFI South Bank, this time NFT2, and it's at 8:20, don't worry, PM, right? 20 to 9. Now, like with Spencer, this one is showing that it is sold out. But again, people, um, yeah, just check, because there's oftentimes returns. So you never know. You never know. But it's a charming little film. Uh oh, actually, I do believe it is I think it's hitting cinemas. Um, I thought I saw the release date. Now, I did think I saw. Uh, no, no, no actual release date, I do believe, but it is being distributed by Mubi, right? So I think possibly that means it's an online thing. It's going to be an online thing, but yeah, I'd say keep an eye on this one, because yeah, it's got a charm to it, right? It's got a charm, and as I said, a little nice little nuanced look at these different types of relationships. So yeah, check it out, people. Hope you enjoy it. Bergman Island. Oh, and I will say, very good performances from everyone involved. Right? They bring this little, yeah, this uniqueness to the characters. It's very good. Lovely cinematography. Huh. I enjoyed it, people. Bergman Island.